Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Side Hustle Seattle. So today I want to talk about what I consider a vital topic, and that is common scams that you may come across as a notary and how to protect yourself. Now, as a notary, it is our job to help prevent fraud, and unfortunately, scammers often target us. And a lot of times, you'll get scammers or fraudsters to try to get you to do one of these four things. So they often try to get you to notarize a document without the signer being present, notarize a signature of an imposter by failing to properly identify them, notarize a signature of someone who is unaware of what they're signing or being pressured to sign, and giving a scammer access to your notary seal and or journal records. So let's explore some of the most prevalent scams and how to avoid them. Let's get into it. So first up, let's talk about the importance of safeguarding your notary stamp and journal. So these tools are your responsibility and must remain under your exclusive control at all times. Allowing others, even employers, to access them can lead to unauthorized use and some serious legal consequences. So, for instance, if somebody uses your seal without your knowledge, you could face disciplinary action and potential lawsuits. Always store your seal and journal securely and never leave them unattended. Now, a lot of notaries actually become notaries because of their job or through their employer. And heck, your employer may even be the person who paid for you to get your commission. It still actually doesn't give them the right to require that you give them your notary stamp or journal at the end of the shift or leave it in a public place or any of that. Even if you leave the company, that is still your property. You are the notary that got commissioned. You are the one that went under oath saying that you're going to protect these things, and you would be the person in trouble if it was ever used in any sort of illegal way. So you want to make sure, regardless if it's through your employer or not, you always have control over your notary seal and journal. And if for whatever reason you lose them or you suspect that they've been stolen, you should contact your Secretary of State immediately, letting them know the situation. Now, demanding bosses isn't the only scam you'll see. Something you'll also see that's very common is a spouse forging another spouse's signature, especially on loan documents. But it can even be on things like child custody. So let's just use this as an example. So let's just say you have a longtime neighbor that you've known for years, and they ask you to notarize a permission letter so that their kids can travel abroad. But the other spouse, whose signature is required, happens to be out of town. But you trust them, so you just make the exception anyway. Well, it turns out in this case, they're actually divorcing and they forge the other person's signature so they can take the kids out of the country without the other person's consent. So, regardless of how long you've known somebody, always make sure you're just following the proper procedures. And that could be a family member, it can be a longtime friend, a neighbor, a colleague. No matter what, just make sure you're going through the accurate steps. People actually need to appear before you, no exception. Now, scammers also often use just various tactics to manipulate notaries. So let's get into a couple of them. One common strategy is creating a sense of urgency. So they may pressure you to rush through the notarization process, hoping you'll skip essential steps like verifying the identification or ensuring the signer's presence. And another tactic is to use charm or appeals for sympathy. A scammer may engage you in pleasant conversation to distract you or share a compelling personal story to gain your trust. And while empathy is a valuable trait, it's essential to remain vigilant and adhere to notarial laws and procedures. Don't let personal feelings cause you to bypass necessary steps. It really doesn't matter how in a hurry somebody is. Do what you know you're supposed to do. Make sure you check IDs, make sure people are actually aware of what they're signing, and make sure everybody's present. There's definitely certain documents that are particularly susceptible to fraud, especially ones involving significant assets. Real estate documents, powers of attorneys, and estate documents are high-risk areas. So, for example, forging a deed can result in the fraudulent transfer of property ownership, leading to some substantial financial losses. So always exercise caution with these documents. Ensure you verify the signer's identity meticulously and confirm their understanding and willingness to sign. Now, as always, you want to make sure you adhere to your state laws, but it's very important for you to know when you should be refusing a notarization. So if a signer is not present, lacks proper identification, seems unaware of the document's significance, or appears to be under duress, oftentimes you must decline to proceed with those notarizations, but again, just make sure you're adhering to your state laws. It's your job as the notary to make sure that you're preserving the integrity of the notarization process, and part of that is knowing when to say no. So at the end of the day, when it comes down to protecting yourself from scams, the best thing that you can do is know your state laws and know what procedures you should be following. So lock up all your tools, make sure signers are present, they're aware of what they're signing, make sure you're checking IDs, keep very, detailed records, that's definitely something that will save your butt. And I mean, regardless of if you're an in-person notary, remote online notary, make sure you're following everything to a T and do not give anybody a pass just because you know them. Because oftentimes it's friends and family who tend to be the biggest scammers, unfortunately, that ask you to cut corners. So don't give anybody a pass when it comes to notary stuff, because at the end of the day, it's going to be you who's in trouble, and that would suck. I went ahead and created a quick blog post on my website, sidehustleseattle.com, so you can read a little bit more about it. I also left links to a few articles from the National Notary Association within that blog post that I think are great ones to look at as well. Let me know, have you ever been scammed as a notary? Or did somebody try to scam you and you caught on to it? I'd be curious. Leave all of that in the comments. Thank you as always for watching. Catch you next.